Without waffling you guys, the quest for Kingdom Come 2's Platinum Trophy was stellar.
It's a hell of a marksman.
Previously platinumed Kingdom Come Deliverance, which required serious gallantry, it's only right I pay my dues to its sequel. But before all of that, welcome all, returning and new alike, Zetsu here, and would you believe me if I told you Kingdom Come 2 has become probably one of my all-time favourite RPGs. And yes, that contends with the Souls-likes of Bethesda titles. However, why is that? Well, I'm glad you asked, my intrepid compadre. Come, and let me show you why on this wild journey, once again through 15th century Bohemia as Henry of Skalitz.
Ordentes fortuna juvat!
Picking up from where we left off in KCD1, we are tasked with delivering a letter to Sir Otto Von Bergow, and I'm to accompany Sir Hans to Trotsky Castle as his squire. We are intercepted by Captain Thomas, where we are given our first choices of Henry's character traits. Hans has a brilliant idea to camp next to the pond, and here is where the adventure begins.
You lot are rank!
We settle down and I feed Mutt, lose miserably in dice to the cheat Tankard, and familiarise myself with combat against Hand. Combat this time around is way more fluid, but still a little odd, or maybe it's just me. However, despite 6 years from the first game, it was just a week for me, which rewarded me with deja vu for defeating Hands during practice, just like in KCD1.
You knocked the stuffing out of me. I yield! Enough!
We go for a snoop on the local wildlife. Shit hits the fan and we barely escape with our life. Wounded, we successfully evade the pursuers but have a tumble off a cliff. And to hallucinate our way into Bojina's humble abode. Straight after the previous game, I'm already familiar with the mechanics of foraging and burying, but I am tasked with putting them into practice. However, unwanted guests appear, and Henry returns the favour by bludgeoning an overly curious Mikesh in cahoots with the attack of the night before. With that said and done, Hans wakes up and it becomes evident for us to set off for Trotsky Castle. Once there, we literally get shat on and turned away because of our beggarly appearance.
Be gone!
And so, we find ourselves at a tavern, spot the woman from earlier.
That's that woman from the pond.
But she pretends to not recognise us, though Hans with his big mouth gets into a fight with a nobleman. And we end up in the pillory. Angry,
Fuck off!
Hans goes his separate way.
I bid you farewell!
And this is when the game truly begins. At this point, we do many side quests and build up Groschen, the game's currency, and getting a better understanding of the lay of the land. The trophy Lent prevents me from eating meat and killing animals, so you can imagine how frustrating certain sections were, such as the mission of finding the gamekeeper Vostak. Shortly after, I must bring him to his camp after much deliberation along the way.
Are you mad? I'm not going to carry you to the tavern.
Though his camp is occupied by poachers.
Turn around right now and get the hell out of here!
Here is where I get antsy fighting for killing an enemy with a combo. After scrounging Groschen on various quests within the first 10 hours or so, I return to Bozina's place to repay the gesture of saving him and Hans from death's door and keep his knight's word. But with one debt repaid, it's about time I find more. Not too far, I enter the nomad's camp. I meet a guy called Master Tomcat who teaches me advanced swordsmanship, and I pick up a quest dubbed as The Invaders. During this quest, we find Mutt after getting drunk with the humans.
You gotta be shitting me!
Here we get a cutscene and man's best friend makes an appearance. Also, it's important to mention that Mutt is crucial in obtaining a later trophy called Lent, as he adds a lot to the early game damage against animals.
Come here, boy.
So, with Mutt back in the gang, I brew up some potions for the road before searching for another old friend in Semin.
God be with you.
Though alchemy is almost the same as KCD1, but with a few minor differences. Once arrived, I make my way straight to the stable master, Balatai.
That's my pebbles.
And with some persuasion, he returns me pebbles.
gonna miss that one.
And with that, the gang is back together. It was time to cause havoc. Past Troskowitz, I arrive at the nebulous place called Apollonia, rife with banditry. Upon many occasions I get stopped by marauders that bite off more than they can chew, though I survive under pressure from several skirmishes bloody. During the Materia Prima quest that had me steal documents from Troskowitz's Rathaus, I complete my 6th minigame, including dice, alchemy, blacksmithing, lockpicking, sharpening wheel, and picking a guard for jack of all trades.
Hey! What do you think? I'll give it to you, you pickpocket!
Like in the first game, brawling is a thing in KCD2, and to save you a bit of time, I'll make my way up the rankings and beat the best brawler in Trotsky at around 25 hours in. Which comes in handy for a series of other quests I'm expected to help squash 2 quarrelling villages reconcile over land disputes another 5 hours after.
Ha! How do you know? You're not even from around here. But unlike you, yokels, he can read. It's all...
Though with a solid foundation, armoured up, increasing levels in questing, I'm admitted entry to Simeon's wedding. I did both the blacksmith's quest, followed through with Miller Krizek's. In the wedding I find Hans doing Hans things, despite him falling on hard times before.
No,
You've been all over the place.
There are many mini quests which go towards been there, done that, more on that later, and some from the Chamberlain a notable figure. But as the evening progresses, the groom is nowhere to be seen, and the bride weeps alone in the wine cellar.
I'm a silly goose.
Confusion occurs, a fight ensues, and Han delivers a rescuing blow. A fight breaks loose, and we get arrested. Now, we hard cut to the living legend, Godwin, whereby Hanush and Sir Radzik ushers him on an investigation of our delay.
For the love of God. Does it have to be him?
Though this quickly returns them to imprisonment in Trotsky's castle dungeon, where they apologise and mend their splitting at the pillory. A guard intercepts their catch-up, takes Henry and condemns Hans for poaching,
You want to talk to God, fella? You're getting the gallows for poaching.
in which I only have 12 tolls until his impending death. Commander Thomas from the start of the game is injured in the chapel in the Maiden. It wasn't too difficult to sneak in there, and spoke to his sister who mentioned he required fever tonicum, which would save his life. I spot Catherine snooping in the alchemist's study before brewing it and deliver it to him before the 12th column. A cutscene ensues, Hans is saved by Bergow's bellowing entrance, and we finally get within the castle that only took like 41 hours to do.
My respects, Sir Otto. I am Sir Hans Capon of Perkstein. And this
Much happens after, but to speed things up, we set off to Nebekov, whereby Hans loses a bet. There, a mysterious Sir Jaromir greets us and talks with Hans, while Michael shows me around. Things don't quite add up, and Henry becomes suspicious, though it is soon discovered that within their dungeons, the true lord of Nebekov lies.
Hey, lad! He found the back! Kill him! I've had enough!
After discovering that, I'm to escort Hans back to Trotsky Castle, in which I inform Von Bergow of the situation. We aid in interrogating a captive and find out that they are the bandits that captured Nebekov. Here we obtain the trophy preventing Simeon's raid. We ready for battle and depart Trotsky Castle with the Chamberlain, but along the way we are ambushed. Shit hits the fan, we survive and find the bandit captain. I call him a weasel and challenge him to a fair fight.
You're to a weasel!
Ends with him losing an eye. Though, we cut to Godwin, who pieces things together. He meets Eric from the first game, Istvan Toft's right-hand man, which leads me back to the captain. Enemy men approach, and he asks for Godwin's help in exchange for Henry and Hans. Godwin fends them off, and here is where I drop a boulder from the battlements for rock and stone.
They're retreating! We fended them off! Come on then!
We cut to Sir Jaromir, or Zizka, confronting Istvan in the prison cell, whereby he discovers Istvan is Sigismund's bitch and locks him up.
Throw him in the cell with Nebak.
However, Eric arrives, releases him, followed by Godwin, who saves him from jail.
Praise be to our Lord Jesus Christ. Gentlemen!
It's Godwin!
At this point, guns are introduced into the game.
Good. Let's try shooting.
While powerful, extremely slow and dodgy to aim, where with Istvan's escape, Von Bergow soon arrives and we experience the Finger of God. Capon gets captured for a ransom, and I get tortured in Trotsky's dungeon. But Godwin spills the beans about the contacts in Kuttenberg, especially Liechtenstein. Catherine comes to rescue and free us, and we escape. I'm to go to steal the orders from the scribe's chamber, and at this point I find Istvan tough after sneaking past the garrison. We duel one-on-one, and no doubt I win. With Sir Radzig's swords now in my possession, we flee Trotsky Castle, a rendezvous with the carriage driver a little distance out. Here we get a cutscene and we enter the Kuttenberg region, the second part of the game where most of the content lies. At Strukdal, we meet Margrave Jops and Pisek of Peter with an urgent message for the Dry Devil, my favourite character in KCD2 by far.
This is really gonna piss off that ginger Hungarian cunt!
Captain Zizka and young Henry.
We are informed he's no longer there, so I and Zizka set off for the Devil's Den, where we find Kubienka, one of the Dry Devil's comrades.
Zizka?
Though we learn he's captured and due for the gallows. Me and Kubienka and Zizka intercept his carriage and rescue him.
Fucking hell! My leg, damn it! You idiot!
Bringing him back to the Devil's Den, where he tells me to round up all of his existing comrades, and once done, the Dirty Seven have been assembled.
So what's next, now that your band is back together?
Well, I've got Kubienka, Adar and Janos. It's not much, but it'll have to do.
So for this one I had to reload to an early save for this trophy, as I had already done it, but I didn't bring him there against his own wishes, or Henry the Matchmaker. While completing as many quests as I could for being there, done that, more on that later of course, I slit an enemy's throat who was looking for me during the Jan Posey of Zimberg questline, Bellator's or Lights Out. At this point, the Oblivion Remastered Shadow drops on April the 22nd, and that turned into a whole other adventure, link in the bio for that video, but back to KCD2. At around 70 hours in, I'd done all the missions in Kuttenberg, so then I started focusing on the trophy related ones. During Striped Tony's, I somehow found myself hanging used underwear from the top of a tavern.
What a sight!
And won the miners shooting competition on the highest difficulty back at the Devil's Den. I found that one to be the easiest.
Shooting fast is one thing, but actually hitting the target too. Here is your prize.
After all that practice, I attempted many times to headshot an enemy from afar with a crossbow for Bohemian Sniper. But that pales in frustration to overkill, which had me there for at least a solid hour or more, missing scatter shots at rabbits, questioning my life choices. After, I went back to the gun shop in Kuttenberg and reloaded 4 guns. And perhaps got a bit too ambitious and tried to craft gunpowder while drunk.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
I told myself to calm down and sober up with a little dice, which resulted in me obtaining a new shining.
Kurva! Why do I even play? And the badge is bloody gone.
Along the way, I naturally spent 10k groschen buying potions in Kuttenberg.
I could go for something to eat now.
4. Quest of having to beat Zavish in 3 disciplines, which is perhaps the second hardest combat trophy in the game. Feeling lighter after that ordeal, I make a pilgrimage.
And life everlasting.
Fuck that bollocks.
and like the hypocrite I am, I seek violence and end up breaking an enemy shield in the process. 84 hours in, and it only occurred to me I hadn't really used most weapons in game. So on a complete fluke, I obtain it by using my gun from pulling up on these bandits.
Bruh.
To celebrate, I get drunk once again, somehow stripped down and had my shoes stolen.
Doesn't it bother you walking around here like some kind of animal?
And whilst I steal them back, I pick the hardest pitlock after consuming the quick finger potion for an added edge. This next one was slightly trickier, but the quickest way to lose 10k groschen was to go on a killing spree, whereby paying the penalty accounts for groschen lost. It was only natural that I had to try and talk my way out of execution after that by slipping the noose.
Someone should keep watch over the body.
And with all of those miscellaneous trophies done, it was time to finish the main story quest by reforging Sir Radzik's sword at around 90ish hours in. At this point, I had completely neglected Catherine, as I hadn't touched any main story quests, but resuming in my tracks into the Underworld questline and to find Goatskin after obtaining Shenek's favour. Later we meet Samuel in the Jewish quarter, where we warn them of an ambush, ends in the cutscene of meeting John of Liechtenstein.
Henry! Lord Capon of Perkstein's page! We met on my visit to Rattay. He's alright.
In Via Argentum, I meet the Ruthards, in which a fight breaks out between them and the Mintmaster, Vavek.
You'll get yours too, turtle dove.
Once defeated, we speak and he tells me to resolve his problem with Vavek, in which during another side quest, Chenek tells me to infiltrate the mines and blow them up with gunpowder to stop Sigismund from gathering coin. Here I get Remember,
Are you
a
fucking
bit of an odd trophy, I must say. After obtaining the books that showed illegal activity on Vivek skimming silver for himself,
I'll give you the wrong foot. Right up your ass.
Lord Ruthard tells me how he can assist in rescuing Capon as the former owner of Malashov. However, he tells me to speak to his daughter, Rosa, before my departure for the details of the secret passage. Rosa asks me to obtain the book, and so I venture off with the task at hand. Following her instructions, I find my way in, obtain her book, and rescue Hans, another fellow Brabant. I brave them out and we ride off to freedom. Here, we see some familiar faces.
Of all the bandits in the whole wide world, we run into this pair of scoundrels.
And once back, I return Rose's book, helping her finish it for Tales of Kuttenberg. At this point, King Sigismund makes his first appearance when Henry gains entry to the council meeting as a cupbearer, and then we play as Godwin at Rabush Fortress, who broke his alliance at behest of Margrave's Jobs' plot. An attack breaks loose. Harry comes to their aid, having heard of it from Von Olitz. Here we save Godwin's brother to die another day.
You're done here, Horsums.
I also obtain Been There, Done That for completing most of the game's content. After the raid, Kobienko informs us that Eric's men are raiding the Jewish quarters in Kuttenberg, and we race off to save Samuel's family. Eric makes an appearance again, and we learn that Samuel is Henry's adopted father's real son.
He's my father.
Once they are safe, they return to the Devil's Den, whereby they concoct a plan
You all fucking die.
that involves Henry joining Sigismund's camp as a soldier, where he meets Musa of Mali, who becomes framed for the murdering of Golash. Henry figures out who the culprit is, and on the assembly the next morning announces his findings. The accuser gets killed, and later they ride out with the commanding officer. Here they are ambushed by Zizka, and they kill Dietrich's cat. Next is for us to raid Malashov, in which we do, but but Henry disagrees with Dry Devil's method of torturing the town. They duel.
You shot yourself! I can smell it from here! Come on!
I obviously win, and I sneak in and open the gates.
Close the gate, quick!
Now hold up in Malishaf, Von Bergow holds Rosa as a captive, and at this point I get High Noon from killing a gun-wielding enemy with a gun. Once liberated, I return to Shukdal by interrogating him on what he knows. I agree to send Henry back to the Rufard's palace with Rosa and Kuttenberg for a secret miner's passage to find her home ransacked from the raid of Eric's men. Henry gets a bit of action and the rest of the gang show up at the Rufard's the next morning, whilst Hennick calls him out on it.
One night wasn't enough for you.
I plan to intercept the delegate from Rome at Lawrence, and Godwin brushes up on his Italian to take his place. While that happens, they mark the location of where they'll breach the vast network of tunnels beneath Kuttenberg for the heist into King Sigismund's bank. However, while it's at Lawrence, things go awry and the cardinal flees by horseback, which ultimately results in him attaining martyrdom.
Well, that didn't really work out.
Now with the worst case scenario, Godwin must replace him as the only priest in their company into the Italian job main quest, which is probably one of the funnier of the lot. Playing as Godwin, we are not to raise suspicion throughout the distraction. Drinking alcohol enables him to speak fluent Italian, with others tunnel their way into the Italian court, and after making it through the church's council, he becomes a true cardinal.
The rest is up to you, Henry.
They successfully infiltrate and procure the silver. Eric and his men show up and they defend the court whilst they storm the gates. Musa of Mali, trapped with the lords, frees them and defends Henry as he escapes, injuring himself. They flee through the passage and my man Hennek blows up the passage with a powder keg.
Burn you bastards.
Brabant betrays them whilst they flee to Shubdal with the stolen silver, and Kubienka is forced as dead from his tumble during their escape. The next day, the other nobles depart and Kubienka reappears with the news of Eric's duel. I meet him and fail miserably, but I realise it was the hardest fight in the game. With my tail between my legs, I reload and decline his offer for the story to progress. Van Aulit's men appear ready for war, and Von Bergow appears at his side, having escaped.
I think not.
The Dreadful shoots Van Aulitz from the ramparts, and thus the siege begins.
Come and get it.
Waiting for reinforcements, Samuel and Henry sneak out of the castle at night. But just before that, Catherine and Henry have their moment. Once down off the rope, Samuel vanishes and Henry finds blood tracks followed by his sword in the enemy camp. Henry, face to face, finds Mark Van Aulitz bleeding in the tavern.
What the fuck are you talking about? Speak clearly.
Here we speak to him, and I get my revenge by sparing him, giving him an unhonourable death of bleeding out until the morning, and find Samuel caught by Brabant. Kill him, and escape with Samuel, which leads into the first siege within the opening scene of the game. Here I play out the mission like before, and at the end of it, I are holed up in the chambers. Upon defeat, Henry makes a return, followed by Hanush and Sir Radzik and allies. They sweep their defences, defeat the invading force, and win the day.
Well, did I come at a bad time?
Well, we're just starting to be fun.
Here, I give a true ending, followed by the credit ending, and obtain Lent automatically, as we end the story and go touch grass. So there we have it, folks. What an absolute masterpiece. From the score to the character development and the plot. I can't name many games as good as this. Having said that, the combat is clunky like the first game, and maxing out your levels doesn't really guarantee success necessarily. Though, like my claim at the start of the video, I have to say, KCD seems to be a truer RPG in my books than even Bethesda titles like Skyrim that take on more of an action, adventure, superhero simulator approach to the the genre. Honestly, KCD is a trendsetter at this point, and I do wish that Elder Scrolls was more sim-like, because imagine how immersive that would be in a fantasy setting. Then again, I wouldn't be into RPGs if it wasn't for Oblivion back in the day, so take what I say with a pinch of salt. Keeping this short and sweet, anyone who has the chance and the time to play this game, it's well worth it, and perhaps checking out this next video, my original attempts might be too.